How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to break down why I feel the Springboks can go 2025 completely unbeaten. They're entering the year with an amazing pool of depth. They only lost two times last year. So the only teams that were to beat them were Ireland and Argentina, which were both pretty close games. They are current champions of the World Cup, not only winning it in 2023, but also winning it in 2019. And honestly, with Rassie at the helm, the way the alignment camps are being built, looking at the players that we have available, looking at the experience that we have, I want to break down in detail all the fixtures and kind of take you guys through my thought process as to why the Springboks will go unbeaten. There is one issue which we will break through later in the video, so make sure to stay for that. But let's break it down. So first up, we do have South Africa playing the Barbarians to open up their year, but that's not really much of a test. It's very much just a friendly that, it's going to be lovely to see the first time. The Barbars are going to be in Cape Town, and it's going to be a spectacle to watch. But in terms of what it means for the season, to me, it's not really going to classify. But I do still think they are going to come through with the win. But looking at the July international, so they have Italy on the 5th of July and 12th of July, and then to follow up with Georgia on the 19th of July. Now, this one, honestly, it should be relatively routine. Italy are a scary team, as we have seen in the Six Nations. They have players like your Capuozos, your Brex. They are very, very resilient, especially when they have a player like, for instance, Menoncello, who he can make things happen. So the Springboks should get through these games relatively easy. Even with Georgia playing some spectacular rugby, they really, really are a team that is impressing a lot of people, even though they aren't in the spotlight. If you do happen to watch them play, you would see some spectacular physical rugby. But ultimately, Rassie, he is going to be taking this seriously to a certain extent, but he is not going to be paying too much attention and, willing to risk big plays. I do see him experimenting a lot here. I think we are going to be potentially seeing players like your Ethan Hooker, your Warren Augustuses, the players that are going to be potentially breaking into the Springboks. We obviously are going to see a big amount of, experienced players, but I think he is going to start littering, bits and pieces here and there to start experimenting more. But ultimately, I feel the Springboks physicality should get them through these games. Georgia will be a little bit an odd one. But again, I feel the Springboks are going to get through these games relatively easily. And then we move on into the Rugby Championship. Now, this is where things really, really start to heat up, because we have Argentina on the 9th of August, followed up on the 23rd of August, New Zealand at Eden Park. They have been unbeaten. I can't remember if they are completely unbeaten or they just haven't lost in like 20 odd years. But this is going to be a big game. And honestly, this is going to come down to whether the Springboks will go unbeaten. If the Springboks are able to beat New Zealand at Eden Park, break that record, I think it will definitely just set the Springboks up to continue on their season in spectacular fashion and just, make easy work of the rest of the teams. But yes, New Zealand at Eden Park, August 23rd, don't miss it. We then have Australia on September 6th and 20th, which again, they are going to be relatively tough, but I think this is also going to come down to how Australia fare up against the British and Irish Lions. If they cannot make a dent in the Lions, there's no way they're going to be making any form of dent in the Springboks. Their physicality, their speed is just very, very hard to match. And then you have the likes of the Bomb Squad, which we're going to talk a bit more about that later. And then we have Argentina on the 4th of October. So Argentina are a very tough side. Like I say, they're the only team to beat, well, they're one of two teams to beat South Africa in 2024. We had Ireland and then we had Argentina. Argentina are a very scary side, but the Springboks do very well in altitude. So with playing at Joburg, I think there's only one outcome for that, and that's going to be South Africa. New Zealand, like I say, is going to be a very difficult test, quite possibly the biggest test of the entire year. And look, it's going to be amazing if you could see them stopped. But like I say, New Zealand are tough. They are rebuilding post World Cup, but I think the physicality of the Springboks, no matter how much flair, how much pace, and how much technicality, how technical the players are, that sheer physicality from the Springboks, I think, is just going to ultimately end up strangling them. And if the Springboks are able to minimize the threat early on, if they're able to stop them getting into the game, and if the Springboks are able to get a good few points ahead of them early gates, we could potentially see South Africa move on and clear them out. But New Zealand are a completely different ball game when they are playing at Eden Park. It is ridiculously difficult to beat them. So their season is going to come down to that. Australia, obviously, they are still rebuilding. I feel, like I say, Lions, it's going to come down to the Lions. If they can beat the Lions in any way, shape, or form, or even put up a good show up against the Lions, they could definitely have a shot. But honestly, South Africa with Rassie, players like, your Sashas, who ultimately didn't exactly have the best of games in the URC quarterfinal, but he is definitely a player. When you have all of these other players around him, it's going to be very, very difficult to stop them. But yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting. And the big one coming with New Zealand. Autumn Nations, we have France on the 8th of November, which that's a scary way to open up the Autumn Nations. November 15th, we have Italy. November 22nd, Ireland. And then November 29th, Wales. So obviously the big two, France and Ireland, I don't know, this is going to be tough. Obviously, France are doing so well, and Ireland are just as scary. At no matter what point you play them, they are just scary. So honestly, I can't decide who's going to be the toughest test in this Autumn Nations, because Ireland broke down in the Six Nations, especially come the back end, whereas France, they just grew stronger, right? And plus, they're more than likely going to be having their talisman back in Antoine Dupont. So I'm more leaning towards France, because they have now started utilizing the bomb squad style. We saw it a lot in the Six Nations. We saw how much what's it called? How much they gained from using it. They played so well, and they really, really utilized it well. There aren't many teams that have that kind of depth in squad, in forwards, but France really, really do have that kind of depth as well. I mean, when you're able to bring on players like Miafao, Julien Marchand, at half time, or 50th, 60th minute, that is nothing but brilliant. So yeah, that's going to be big games. I think the Italy and Wales games should be relatively routine, but they are going to be scary. Ireland are no joke, though. They are no joke. Like I say, in 2024, they beat South Africa. I think it was just by a point. It wasn't much. There was not much in the game. And then I believe they also beat them in the 2023, I want to say, the pool stages. I think it was in the 2023 World Cup pool stages. Ireland also beat South Africa. But the Boks are going to want to come in with revenge, especially after that game last year. And I think Rassie's going to go full bore, not not care about anything, and he's going to go. He's going to go for the jugular. So those are definitely going to be um, key ties and key matches as to where the Springboks are really going to struggle. But ultimately, three teams that I honestly see struggles with: New Zealand at Eden Park, France, and then Ireland. If they are able to get through these, because this is the top four, right? This right here is the top four. So I think if the Springboks are able to come through wins on all of them, there's no doubt that they are the greatest team in world rugby. So now I want to look at giving reasons why they could potentially go undefeated in terms of depth of squad, right? Because we already know the Springboks, we know the forwards, but obviously we have players that have since retired, but we also have a whole bunch of players that are coming up through the ranks, right? So when we look at depth, we look at skill, we look at that aggression. The Springboks are still fully loaded. So let's break down the front row. So first up, we have players like Oxenche, right? In my opinion, the best Lucy in the world. And just watch him play. The guy is an absolute beast. But then we have players like Martinus van der Merwe. We have players like Mchunu. We have players like Thomas du Toit, who are beasts in their own right, and they are still working their way up through the ranks, right? We do have players like your Malcolm Marks, and we have all of these other big name stars, but we aren't going to be solely reliant on having that quality, because we do have quality in the backs waiting. We look at the second row, we have players like Archie Snyman, Franco Mostert, Ruan Nogia, your Eben Etzebeth. Stacked second row, absolutely stacked second row. What more could you want? Absolute monsters, right? Back row, we have Evan Ruas, we have Quacha Smith, we have Sia Khaleesi. I can continue to name bloody names. Strength, we have that bulldog mentality, as you see in Quacha Smith. They don't give up, right? They just don't give up. You have your Warren Augustus as well, who's an absolute beast at 8. So it's gonna be interesting to see this how this pans out, who's gonna get chosen. But honestly, depth there is ridiculous. From elite level talent, experienced, Springboks, to the up and coming players that are playing at the highest level. I mean, we saw the performances that Warren Augustus has put in for the Northampton Saints, and soon to be putting in for Ulster. But yeah, absolutely crazy. Then we have your halfbacks in your Faf, your Grant Williams. Again, if Faf isn't playing, I'm more than happy to have pretty much anybody else play in his position, and we are still going to kill it. It's always lovely to have Faf de Klerk, especially in his fluffies. But depth, this is what I'm talking about. Fly halves, we have your Sasha FM, we have your I was gonna say Money. He is in the squad, but Money Libok, I'm actually okay with him playing. But when you put in the likes of Andre Pollard, you put in the likes of Sasha FM, and then you have Money Libok, for me, he's like in the car park, ready to go. Like when they say, game's done, he's already on his way home. So, yeah, who wouldn't want Andre Pollard in their side? Look at what he's done for Leicester. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So in terms of depth, South Africa are actually really well stacked. And these are just some names. If we were to actually have a full breakdown on everyone, and then you're looking at the alignment camps, that depth is unreal. Absolutely unreal. But now we can't speak about a Springbok side that will potentially go unbeaten without speaking about the man himself, Rassie Erasmus, right? From from Springbok to coach to legend. If you're in rugby, you know who Rassie is. He's not just a normal coach. He is one of those iconic coaches that will go down in rugby history as one of the greatest ever. And honestly, I think if he does win a third World Cup in a row, he will definitely go down as the greatest head coach in the world until someone ends up beating that, you know. So we look at Rassie, right? So obviously the guy's a genius. No matter what you think, the guy is an absolute genius. He has been planning the way South Africa play for years on years on years, right? And now we are truly starting to see the culmination of all of his efforts, bringing everybody up, bringing those standards up, as we saw in the 2019 World Cup, 2023 World Cup. We see in just during a general year, we are barely losing at all, and we are just getting stronger, faster. A lot of the youth are coming through as well, right? As we've seen in the likes of like your Kane and Moody's, and I'm hoping to see Lorenzo Julius as well. These are players that are going to start breaking through, and they are already playing at an extremely high level. And then you add Rassie's genius to that. It's a sure path for success, right? There's a couple of things that you always know about Rassie. The players are going to be mentally prepared. He just has that X factor when it comes down to preparing those players for what's to come. He's always going to play mind games, no matter what. The guy, he is a tactical genius. He's flexible. He knows when to be flexible. He knows when to be stern, when to be tight. The guy, he adapts through the game, and he adapts through what comes his way. And I think this is one of the things that make him so good, because he has such a good understanding of his players, what he has available to him, and how best to make the most out of the players. There's a reason why he is where he is, right? And there's that meticulous planning aspect where he plans everything from pretty much the moment they step out of that bus to the moment they step back on that bus and go home. This guy, he is going to be part of everything, planning everything out step by step. So, Rassie, the players that we do have, the style of players that he has brought to his alignment camp, the nice balance between experience, that nice balance of that youth coming through as well, right? We did bring I think it was a semi-pro player, I forget his name, but straight semi-pro player, and Rassie invited him to his lineman camp. It's not necessarily going to be that he's going to play, but Rassie's thinking ahead. He's planning for the future right now, right? And you can see on how he moves. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he's going to line up the Springboks this year, right? But ultimately, I really do feel the Springboks' quality and depth, that physicality, that aggression, the bomb squad, which is just so hard to manage. And was it what the World Rugby? They've announced, look, we don't see any danger in it. There's a lot of people that have been moaning about the bomb squad, calling it unsportsmanlike and blah blah blah. And I've spoken about this multiple times, so I'm not going to bore you with it. But the bomb squad is effective. South Africa has implemented it. France have now implemented it properly, and I think they are right now. They are the only team that has successfully used the bomb squad in top flight rugby and done it effectively. They're the only other team that I've seen that has effectively managed to do it at the highest level and done it right. So yeah, props to France, and they're going to be an absolute nightmare to beat. So that physicality with the bomb squad, South Africa just have this mental and this grit to win games. It's that mentality, that strong mind, that they will rather die than lose a game. And we've seen it throughout. the 2023 World Cup. Arguably a horrible World Cup for the Springboks. They didn't actually play that well. They were saved by big moments. They were saved by big players. They were saved by tactical genius, as we saw with Andre Pollard, as we saw in the quarters, semis, and finals. Tactical genius. Bringing the right players on when they are needed most to create the most damage and effect. It's going to be very, very hard to it's going to be very, very hard to beat the Springboks this year. But my question to you, if South Africa come through with a win at Eden Park, can you see anybody else truly being able to stand against the Springboks? Because honestly, when it comes to Eden Park, I always put a 70-30% for New Zealand to win outright. I don't care if it's the Springboks, you going to New Zealand, you playing at Eden Park, 70% chance New Zealand are already coming to win, right? But if South Africa come through with a win there, Ireland and France, I'd give more a 60-40 South Africa's way. But ultimately, when it comes down to the day, it's always a 50-50, right? Anything can happen. But I truly do feel the Springboks can go undefeated. So let me know what your thoughts in the comment section below. I want to hear from you guys. Maybe I'm just talking absolute BS and there's a team here that you truly feel that will outclass the Springboks. But my opinion, it might be a little bit biased as well because I am South African. These are just my thoughts, my personal opinions. I'd love to hear your guys. So if you are going to dispute, I want to know why, how it's going to be done, and who's going to be key in having that done. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll catch you guys later.